Hi everyone, I'm Kendall Wilson, a marketing instructor at Oklahoma State University. And today I'd like to tell you a couple of tips for how to take your principles marketing class and teach it online. Now, I should give you a brief overview and let you know that when I refer to cases or a textbook, what we're talking about is the book Modern Marketing Principles ebook through Stukent. And the application piece for that, we create a series of interactive video cases. So every week the students would learn content in a chapter and then they can go over to the case and apply it directly. Because we created those, there are several different ways that you can teach the class. You can teach it a conventional face-to-face lecture and have them do the cases at home. You can also do a fully flipped class to where they read the textbook or learn the content and then do the cases and interaction and competitions in class. You can do sort of a hybrid between the two. And then you can teach the class completely online. Today we're going to focus on how to take those elements that we love from an in-person class and teach it online. And three main areas or questions that I get asked about that. And since we use Canvas at Oklahoma State, I'm going to show you a few examples in Canvas as well for how to do some of these things. So the first topic or question that I get is, well, how do I make this class my own? How do I personalize it so students can connect to me? Well, one way is through really short introductory videos, either to the chapter itself or to the cases. Now, we do have the content, the chapters, like I mentioned, and the cases come with everything from the video to the case report to the clues. All of that learning material is there. But one way that you can personalize it and make it your own is just to create a very short 1 to 3 minute video either introducing the content as a whole and say what they're getting ready to learn and tell a personal story, or introducing the cases. And when you introduce a case, I love doing this because you can say, hey, you're getting ready to learn, say, Honey Lou's Coffee. Very first case. You're getting ready to meet Honey Lou's Coffee. And you're going to be applying the P's of marketing. And you're going to be deciding product, price, place, and promotion. Now, you may be aware of such and such local coffee shop, and I bet you love coffee and their coffee drink, blah, blah, blah. Well, you're going to be deciding something similar and stepping through that process as you would as a business owner. So just doing a short introduction like that, it takes the content and connects it to your local school, your local town, or even your experience. So let me show you a couple of easy ways to make a video like that. Here in Canvas, if you go to Studio, you'll find a really easy option to make these videos. If I click Record, I can record a screen capture or webcam capture and record videos straight here in Canvas Studio. Then I can connect that content either under modules or pages in Canvas, and voila, we have our video. It's really simple to create. And then also, there's a software that I use called Screencast-O-Matic. And it allows you to also do a screen capture or a webcam capture, or like I'm doing now, sort of layered where you can do both. And the deluxe version of this is around $20 for an entire year. So these are two options for creating videos, even if you don't have an entire studio or all the video filming equipment. It's pretty easy to do with those two options. Now, the next question I get asked all the time is, how do we bring engagement and interaction into an online setting? Because in our face-to-face classes, this is one of the things that we love, especially with these cases. As you'll see with these cases, they're creating things. They're thinking through things strategically. So because it's those type of cases and because they're creating things and doing creative options, like they're maybe even creating packaging materials, or they're creating a coffee drink, or with the commercials, they may be even creating an entire commercial. Because of that element, you really get a lot of learning from students seeing each other's ideas and learning from that and responding to that. So there are a couple of different ways that we can add in that interactive element in an online setting. And one way to do that is through discussion boards. Now, let me show you in Canvas an option that you have. So with a discussion board on Canvas, there are a couple of different things that you can do. One way is to ask them to post their best idea. And this has worked really well at OSU. Now, you probably don't want them to post their entire report for each case. That's probably not a good idea. You don't want them passing that around. But you can say, hey, post your best idea. And then you can also require that students comment on each other. Maybe, 2 comments. This is a common thing in online learning with discussion board posts. But if you have them post their best idea or most creative idea, then they can respond to that and learn from that. In Canvas, there's a setting. If you go to create a discussion, under options, there's an option for user most post before seeing replies. That means they can't just go and see everybody's ideas and then create their own assignment. No, they have to create theirs first and upload it, and then when they do that, they can see everyone else's as well. Now, the first time I did this in one of my classes, I actually do this in my other classes as well. And the first time I did this in a class, I wasn't sure how it was going to work, and I was a little hesitant. And seeing the students' reaction the first week, I was hooked, because I would see students say things like, "Oh, I hadn't thought of it that way. Wow, that's a better idea than I had. I need to remember that for the future, or I need to apply that here." And it was a really cool thing to see. So there are several different things that you can do. You can say, post your best idea. If it's one of the weeks where they're creating something, say they're creating packaging materials, or on the paradigm shift case, if they actually create a commercial, if you require that they create the commercial, then you can have them upload a link or upload their entire commercial, and then they can watch each other's commercials and comment on them. So there are several different things that you can do to have them post. You can also have them vote on things. Now, if you've seen me speak for any other thing, you know that I love turning things into a competition. And this is one way that you can do it. You can say not only should they comment on each other's discussion posts, but they like it or some other way of voting on it. And I like to give an award for things on this. So at OSU, the instructors that are teaching this, they're giving different award badges. So they have a creativity badge, an industry star badge. So they're giving an award for those that maybe get the most votes, or sometimes the instructors scroll down through all the best ideas and choose one and say, this is the one I like, I'm going to reward that student, and give them a shout out or points. So that's one way. So discussion boards are one way that you can add that interactive element of engagement into the classroom. Another way to kind of combine these two things that we've talked about is anytime that you're creating one of those short videos, you can also ask a student a question right in the video. And Canvas actually has an option to where if you have a video and you've created in Studio, the students can comment right under that video. So they can comment on the video and respond. Another thing that I get asked is, well, what about teams? How do we do teams? Do we do teams versus individual? Which do we do? You can do it either way. When you're doing these cases, you can do it as the students doing each case by themselves. But you can also add in an element of teamwork. And this is doable. We have the technology now to where this is really pretty easily doable. You can have teams facilitate communication. You can do, I'm sure you're aware of Zoom at this point. You can do Zoom video meetings, and you can also do Google Docs. Those are the two things that I see students using more than anything. Zoom has a really easy learning curve. They pick up on it really quickly. And in my online classes, I have students from all over the world in different time zones doing group projects every week. And they get it done. It's really not a problem. They meet remotely. What else do we do when we're using Teams? Well, one thing I would highly recommend if you're using Teams is to do some sort of peer evaluation. If you're using Teams, I made the mistake of doing Teams and not doing any peer evaluation one semester, and I've regretted it. I would highly recommend some sort of peer evaluation. Now, how can you do peer evaluations? Well, there are a couple of different options, and at OSU right now, they're using Teammates. I am getting ready to switch all of my classes to this. I believe they're using this for the Principles of Marketing class, they're using this for about 1,000 students a semester right now. And this is actually a not-for-profit, and it's through Google App Engine, which means that they can use their Google account if they wish to tie it to their account. So this is one option that you have, and I'll just scroll through here. On the peer evaluations, they can actually give, you can choose who sees what, you can choose what responses they do, how it's shown, and you can also do exports to get information and to get the data from that and download it so that you can score them at the end. So this is a really great option to use, and you can get all the information, do an instructor login, and test it out on your classes. And we've been running this with really big numbers. It takes a bit to set up at first, but then after you have it set up, you can have some really kind of robust peer evaluations from it. If you don't want to do something like this, you can actually set up something just like a survey. SurveyMonkey, I'm using this right now in a class that's about 90 students. I've been using SurveyMonkey. I'm getting ready to switch over and try Teammates as well. Or some instructors might have access to Qualtrics and might choose to just do everything there. So for SurveyMonkey or Qualtrics, I have this set up as a logic question. They choose the team, and then it puts them over to all their teammates' information, and I have scale questions. This is what I would highly recommend, is setting up a peer evaluation. And when you're doing an online class of peer evaluations, another idea that kind of goes along with this is to do a team contract at the very beginning. This has really helped to set expectations during the first couple of weeks, and we have a template of that uploaded for you as a resource. So I highly recommend setting up a team contract at the very beginning. That way the students have expectations to score each other on the peer evaluations. And then you can use any program like this. I would recommend doing it at least 3 times through the semester so that they don't get blindsided at the very end. But this is a way to really encourage and set some standards for that team interaction online. So those are 3 ways that you can use Principles of Marketing. Those are 3 ways that you can take it online and personalize it, make it your own, and create some interaction and engagement for your teams. And then also have team peer evaluations and ways to facilitate that team learning, taking Principles of Marketing class to an online setting.